Just ask that you guys will give her your full attention tonight. Miss Christie is also a veteran, but she's going to be probably talking about a little bit of that, but she just asked that at the end that there's no questions about her deployments, okay? So, at this time, I'm going to give it over to Miss Christie.
Hi. Well, most of you guys know who I am. You know how I roll around here. I'm probably known to be a no-nonsense type of mom. How many of you guys really think that I'm mean? How many do I tell that I'm actually mean? I'm not even nice. Don't I say that a lot? Well, truth be told, you guys, I'm one of those people. I demand respect. I give it once it's given, but for the most part, I'm a pretty gentle spirit. So what I have to tell you is I've not always been that way. I would say growing up, you guys know my mom, Deborah Stanford. She's a pretty no-nonsense woman. That's pretty much where I learned to be the person that I was or that I am. And I would have to say that after I joined the military, a lot of stuff started changing for me. I grew up, my mom and dad divorced when I was 10. My dad was a preacher. So, you know, I don't know, I know there's probably one or two of you guys in here that know what it's like to be a PK, but it is not fun growing up. It's not. It's hard. You have to be a certain way, act a certain way, carry yourself a certain way. It's almost like you can't be yourself. And so growing up, I kind of didn't really know who I was. I didn't know what I was capable of. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so when my mom and dad divorced, I kind of had to grow up real fast. I was 10. And I had a younger sister and a younger brother. But my mom was a single parent, so she worked shift work. We had to be alone quite a bit after my dad left. And my dad goes to this church here too, so after my dad left, you know, I had to learn how to cook when I was 10. I had to learn how to, you know, help with homework and all that stuff I just did not want to do as a teenager, but I really didn't have any other options. And so I became who mom wanted me to be, and it just was not okay sometimes. So I was 17 when I joined the Marine Corps. And I actually said, I'm doing this to upset Deborah Stanford. I'm thinking, oh, she's gonna be angry, she's gonna be heartbroken. No, she was ecstatic. She could not wait for me to leave that house because her burden was gone, her stress was over. Like, you would think that I had run her through the ringer, and I don't think was I that bad? You would. Okay. So I joined the Marine Corps. I was 17. I left right after high school. I went to Parris Island for basic training for boot camp. My first duty station, I met my first husband. I was 19. Deja's dad. I was 19. Oh my gosh, you couldn't tell me nothing. He was the best thing since sliced bread. You know, you couldn't tell me nothing. And I thought his poop didn't stink, even though everybody told me otherwise. I thought his poop didn't stink, right? So we got married, 19 years old, didn't know nothing, stupid. And my first duty station at Camp Lejeune, we were married that whole time. And then I got orders to Kansas City, Missouri. It was an independent duty. I actually had the opportunity to go to Hawaii. Hawaii, guys. But because he didn't want to go, I turned down Hawaii. Who does that? But I did. So we get to Kansas City now. It's okay. Now I'm actually married. I'm with this guy. I got to be grown up. I have to learn how to wife. I didn't know how to wife. My mom was divorced. She was busy raising kids. She didn't tell me how to wife. I just knew growing up, a wife had to be submissive. I knew a wife was supposed to follow her husband as the head of the household, but you know what? He was not a Christian. He didn't go to church. He believed in God, and that was about the very basic, bare minimum of where he was. And we lived in military housing. I was 4 hours away from my mom, 4 hours away from a support system, everything like that. And so it was kind of like, well, it's me and him, we're doing it. We are doing the thing. And then everybody was saying, Christy, you never have company. But then whenever I had company, it ended up in this huge fight. So I said, I'm not gonna do company. And then my mom would come. How long is she gonna be here? Well, I don't know, she came to visit. Well, she probably needs to only stay a couple of days. Okay, well, she probably won't. It'll be fine. And then mom would leave. And then I'd say, well, I wanna go to blah, blah, blah. Well, how are you gonna do that? You don't have any money. How are you gonna do that? You don't have a car. Well, I'll figure it out. I'll just drive the car we got. No, you're not. Well, what do you mean I'm not? I'm a grown woman. You can't tell me anything. And then he'd say, well, I'll see how you get there. And then what he would do is he would take the car keys and he'd put them on the kitchen counter. But then he'd take the chain and then he'd tie it to the steering wheel and the brakes so I couldn't drive. You can go wherever you want. Forget it. I don't want to go. I want to go. I'm going to start school instead. So I decided to become a massage therapist. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to do this. You go to school. How you going to get there? And so what I didn't realize, you guys, was that slowly but surely I was being broken. Amen. It's my husband. He wouldn't do that. I was being broken. So I said, well, as long as I do what he wants, there's no arguments, there's no fights, there's no trouble, nothing. That's the worst thing you can do because you are giving yourself to another person. Control, gone. I couldn't have friends. I kept my best friend. She knew no matter what, she was gonna be there. Nothing. Nothing could happen. I have two. She's not here tonight. The other one's not here tonight. Nothing I could do, nothing I could say, nothing he could do, nothing he could say. They weren't going anywhere. I didn't have friends. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't hang pictures on the wall. I couldn't go grocery shopping without him approving of the grocery list. I couldn't go put gas in the car. I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have anything. But you know, in that period of time, I thought life was good. I thought life was okay. What you have to understand is when you get into an abusive relationship, you sometimes don't even realize you're there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But one thing that stayed constant in my life was God. There were so many times where I'm just like, if I could just walk away today, I would. And then I got pregnant with Deja. And then if it was bad before, it got worse. Because you're not going anywhere with my daughter. You're not taking her there. You're not gonna do this. That's my child. You're not gonna do that. And so I'm just like, how did I get here? I was so unhappy. The person that I was, I didn't know her. I didn't know her. I was known to be bold. I was known to be outspoken. I was the one you didn't mess with. But then in my house, I was like this little tiny mouse. And you know, my friends would come and visit from home and they'd say, what is wrong with you? Why do you let him talk to you like that? And I don't want no trouble. I don't want to argue. I just wanted peace. And I would pray for that. I would pray for peace. If there was one thing that I knew how to do was pray. And I didn't know at that time that prayer is exactly what was keeping me alive, keeping me through, keeping my mind. So I decided I'm gonna go. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go. Took me 7 years to figure out how to go. 7. I joined out 10 years into the Marine Corps at that time, and it was time for us to rotate out of the United States every 3 years. He says to me, he was a Marine also, he says, if you decide to re-enlist, that's fine. I knew if I re-enlisted, I was gonna end up going across the water. I knew it. But he says, if you decide to go, that's fine. But if you end up leaving and leaving these United States, I will not be here when you get back, and neither will your daughter. So I said, okay. Hey, Mom, I got a problem. And I told her what was going on, and Mom, 24 hours, she was there. She came, picked up Deja, brought her back here. I took my orders, and before I did this, I said, Lord, I need direction. I need to know what to do. And so an Army recruiter approached me, and he says, how long are you gonna do this whole Marine Corps thing? You know, the Army, you can stay stateside. And I was like, oh, okay. I left the Marine Corps one day, joined the Army the next, never missed a beat. I'm like, now I can stay here with Deja. I don't have to leave. I don't have to deploy. I don't have to go overseas. And then you know what? 30 days later, I got orders anyway. And I said, well, Lord, I don't really know, because I thought that if I joined the Army that I'd be here. I don't have to leave. But I figured that that was God's way of saying, you need to do this. Because if I'd avoided those orders, there was another one right behind it. So I ended up in Germany. My mom kept Deja. I was in Germany for 2 years. My mom stayed here with Deja. He said, you know, Deja's not part of my schedule. She's not gonna work. You're gonna have to figure it out. So it came time for me to come back from Germany, and I knew when I had come back from Germany, I'm making this decision. I'm not going back to that house. So I got orders to Fort Riley, Kansas, which is actually 2 hours outside of Kansas City. My orders kept me at Fort Riley for 5 years. He and I were legally separated at that time, and I said, well, this is it. I don't have to go back. But then it came time, my orders were ending, I had to make a decision. By this time, I had the twins. And I said, oh goodness, I'm in a pickle now, aren't I? Because the twins were not his. We had been separated. He knew that they were not his. But the twins were actually triplets. And he said, these 3 babies are mine. I don't care. You're mine, so they're mine. And he says, as long as we're together, you know, those will be my babies. And that's exactly what he did. Then I went back. So stupid. So stupid. I went back because there was security there. Everybody says, oh, he makes $150,000 a year. He makes good money. Why would you leave that? You know, security, you got a house, got nice cars. Why would you leave that? And I'm like, you guys just don't understand. I'm not me. I'm not that woman. And throughout that whole time, he had never put his hands on me. He had never called me out of my name. He had never anything. But he would say, let me talk to you in terms you can understand. Let me break this down in kindergarten style for you. Or he would say, I'm not calling you stupid, but if I gotta explain this to you. That doesn't sound like abuse to you, does it? Does it? Listen, I need interaction, guys. Does that sound like abuse to you? I didn't have an ATM card. I couldn't take care of my kids, not without permission. Does your mom need permission to talk to you? No. Take care of you, right? That's abuse, you guys. It's not physical abuse, it's mental abuse. Yeah. It's financial abuse. Yeah. And so here I am at 27 years old, and that's what I knew. That's what I knew. But I knew I was getting out, and that's what I did. I had to make a plan. I had to change who I was in an instant. I had to pick up and leave in an instant because I knew I was leaving. And they always told me, when you leave a controlling person and they lose that control, that's when they go crazy. And I'm like, oh, he would never. He knows I'll kill him. He would never. And he did. So I planned to have him served, and I planned on having my name changed, my bank account changed. I had a car, I had everything purchased, and it was gonna take place that, all in the same day, the day he got served, and the day I got my name changed and everything, phone number, everything, all happened in the same day. He worked at Sprint headquarters. He knew my every call, every text message. He knew how to locate me. He knew how to read my emails, everything, everything. He knew how to get into my bank accounts. He would take my money from my bank account the day that it hit me. When I decided to leave, I had $36.42 in my bank account, but I was leaving. And so I did. Midnight, my lawyer says, and the advocacy group that I had, they say, at midnight, the day he's supposed to be served, I want your kids in the car. At 12:01, take a picture, show me that you are still at your house at midnight, take a picture. At 12:01, you leave. And that's exactly what I did. By this time, I had met Hoover. We were not married, but I had met Hoover. And so he had been with me up until this point for about 2 years. The twins were 6 weeks old when Hoover and I met. And so it was pouring down rain, you guys. It was pouring down rain, and it was midnight, and I'm driving in the car with 3 babies. And Hoover was following behind me in a U-Haul. And the reason I tell you guys this is because remember at the beginning I said, if I didn't know nothing else, I knew how to pray. I knew how to walk with God. And I knew there were so many times that I probably should have been dead. So I was on my way here, and midnight, about 1:30 in the morning, the tire blew on the car. And it was pouring down rain, and Hoover had to get out and change the tire. He couldn't get it. The lugs were locked. And he's jumping. So some of you guys know how big Hoover is, so you can imagine him jumping up and down on a tire iron trying to get this tire off. And he couldn't. And then here comes this man. And he's in this white van. He had on coveralls, a white t-shirt, and a black hat. And he came and he says, "Hey buddy, need some help changing that tire?" And Hoover says, "Yeah, I've been trying and trying." He says, "Go get in the car, I'll take care of it." And Hoover gets in the car, and I said, "What are you doing? Did you get it?" And he says, "No." And I said, "You need to go back and get that tire changed." He goes, "Well, there's this man out there." He said he'd do it for me, and I said, "Oh." He goes, "I want to give him a little bit of money." So the man comes, taps on the window, and he says, "You're all good to go, bud." Hoover says, "Give me the money." I gave him like $5. That's all I had. I only had $36.42 in the bank. So I give him this money, and Hoover gets out, and he's gone. 2 minutes, he's gone. There's no car, there's no man. Hoover says, "That was weird." I said, "You don't believe in angels?" I said, "Let me tell you about me." I said, "They walk with me all the time." I said, "Things like this happen to me all the time." And he says, "That's weird. He must have took the back way." And I said, "Okay, back way, if that's what you want to call it." That's fine. And so we literally talked about that for the next 2 hours, about how this man disappeared, and he was really trying to figure it out. So let me give you a little background on Hoover. Hoover, when I met, was a Muslim. Didn't believe in God. Well, he did believe in God. They had a different belief system. But, slowly but surely, he knew I was a Christian. And I guess maybe it was out of his love for me that he started going to church with me anyway. He was a Christian. And then he ended up becoming a Christian. Got baptized in the Holy Spirit and everything. Praise God. So, so we get home. Hoover tells Mom about this man. Mom was like, "Oh, that was an angel. Christy has them all the time. You just gotta sit back and watch sometimes." And then he goes, he really didn't question it because he didn't understand it. So anyway, we got all the way home, and then I came back to Kansas City, and I waited, because I knew that it was coming. But do you remember that movie, Enough? Mm-hmm. And it was one of those situations where my kids are no longer in danger. I'm a fight. And I knew I was gonna fight. I knew the days were coming. I was ready. I was mad. I was angry. Because a piece of me had been taken, and the only way to get it was to fight back. And that's what I did. So, he got the divorce papers, and then I was actually staying with his mom because I had given my apartment up. So I stayed with his mom. She said, "You'll be okay." I wouldn't even tell him you're here. And then I was laying in the bed, and just as audible as you guys can hear my voice, and just as you can feel me touching you, I got a touch on my shoulder and said, "Christy, get up." Well, there's nobody there. Okay, I must have been dreaming. I'm gonna go back to sleep. Let me tell you something. When God speaks, you guys, move.
Yes, amen.
Again, Christy, get up. I couldn't have possibly had the same dream twice. So I said, okay, well, I'm just gonna lay here for a minute, but I'm gonna close my eyes and see if it happens again because, why not testing? I mean, it's okay. That's what people do all the time, right? So the third time, it was an attack. The third time, it was, "Christy, get up." Well, okay, I'm up. I ain't never got dressed so fast before in my life because this woman's house is haunted or something. So I get up, I'm dressed. I get my shoes on. I get up, put my shoes on. I get my shirt on, put my hair in a ponytail, and as soon as I put my hair in a ponytail, here he comes. He walks through that door, and before I could realize it, he had his hands around my neck and my feet weren't touching the floor. And I said, "Get your hands off of me." And I didn't yell, I wasn't crying, I was mad. I said, "Get your hands off of me. You're gonna leave me? You think you're gonna leave me? You gonna divorce me?" I said, "Absolutely. Get your hands off of me, or I will bleep, bleep, bleep kill you." And I meant every word of it. And then his mom came in and she's crazy, going crazy. Let her go, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I made it. So after that, I think he started to actually learn that I'm not that chick. I'm not that same chick. And then the kids had gotten a little bit older. Deja probably was about 7 at that time. I had been on my own. We're going through the divorce proceedings. I go to drop the kids off one day. And he was an alcoholic too, you guys. I go to drop the kids off one day. And again, the Holy Spirit says to me, "Wake up." And I'm in the car. And I was just dropping my kids off. And I hear it again. "Wake up, Christy." Didn't see nothing coming. Didn't know. I take the kids in the house. Deja had just come from soccer practice. And I say, "Well, Deja needs to eat, so she probably don't need no junk." Deja sticks her hands in this bowl of popcorn, and he clicks. He picks Deja up off of the floor by her neck, and he has her backed into this corner. And you guys know Deja's eyes, right? You see how big and beautiful they are? Those eyes were just as big, but filled with fear. And so, the twins, everything was in slow motion. He has Deja backed into this corner, and the twins had ran and hid under this pool table. And Michelle is holding on to David. "Shh, it's gonna be okay. Shh." It was in slow motion. I see my babies under this table, and they're sitting there, and they're huddled in fear. And I see Deja, and she's in the corner, and her eyes, and she couldn't even talk because he had his hands around her throat over a piece of popcorn, you guys. And so I didn't know what happened. I couldn't imagine me picking this knife up from this countertop and crossing the room. I don't remember picking it up. I don't remember knife and I held it to his throat. And I said, let my baby go. I will kill you. That's the second time I had told him, I will kill you. And his girlfriend comes from behind this other room. She touches me. She says, Christy, let him go. I'll call the police. And I said, that's your best bet, because I'm gonna slice his throat. One thing you don't do is mess with my babies.
That's right. Yeah.
That's how I got the name Mama Bear. You don't mess with my babies. And so I said, let her go. And I had actually cut him right here. And the police came in and they took him to jail. I don't even think he saw the inside of a jail cell because he was out in an hour. His mother had gotten him out. And I said, that will be the last time that you see my kids. Because my kids, I brought them here and they never went back. They didn't go back. They stayed right here with Big Mama Bear. Because one thing you're not gonna do is mess with Big Mama Bear. So I came here and Mom took care of the kids and everything was good with them. And so we stayed here for a while until I couldn't stay here anymore. I had other orders and stuff like that. Deja was with me. I had become, my outlet was bowling, and I became good at it. I became a semi-pro bowler because that's how I made money. I didn't know how. He took all my money. So my outlet was bowling. I bowled 4 nights a week. 300 games, 214 average. I was a bowler. That's what I did. And then I had a new family there, and they watched over me. He couldn't step foot in that bowling alley without me knowing. And so we were at the bowling alley one day, and I was on the lanes, and someone says, Christy! And I said, what? Let me take my turn. Christy, Deja's choking. And my world dropped. Dropped the bowling ball. I looked back. Deja's got her head back like this, and her lips were blue. And I said, what happened? She was fine when I walked away. What happened? Who gives a baby a gobstopper, you guys? Somebody gave Deja this gobstopper because she was just crying and crying and crying about wanting some candy. Just tell her no. But no, somebody gave her a gobstopper and she choked on it. And her lips were blue, and someone says, dial 911. I said, no, I can get it, like I'm God or somebody, I don't know. And so I can get it, and so I could stick my finger down into her throat, and I could pull this gobstopper because I had nails. And then what would happen is, I would grab the gobstopper, and then no sooner did I get it, Deja would go to breathe. And then what happens with the gobstopper? She sucked her right back down. And then finally, here comes this lady. Christy, give her to me. No, I got it. Christy, give her to me. Oh, no, you? I'm giving you my kid and she's choking. No, I got it. She said, give her to me. And they said, Christy, give her to her. So I did. It was almost like I'm lifting her up in sacrifice. I lifted her up and she took Deja. And I'm just sitting there and I'm praying and I'm praying and I'm praying and I'm praying. And she gets the gobstopper out, and Deja takes this deep breath, and then they say, here, love on your baby. Why would you eat a gobstopper? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Why would you do that? Not, oh, I'm so happy you're okay. No, what is wrong with you taking candy from strangers? That's how I felt. What is wrong with you? And then I said, oh, let me go thank this lady. Has anybody seen that lady? She had on this white shirt, brown jacket, light blue jeans, brown hair. Has anybody seen her? What lady? Well, she was the one that helped Deja get this gobstopper out. You know, she was the one. Has anybody seen her? What lady? I looked all over for her. Nobody saw this woman. Nobody knew her name. Nobody had ever seen her before. I walked outside, I walked up and down the parking lot, I'm checking cars, and I walk back in and they say, what is wrong with you? Are you okay? You know, Deja's okay? Are you okay? I need to find this lady. Christy. What lady? I have another angel. Deja got an angel, something, because nobody has seen this woman before. And so I said, huh. Well, the only thing I could do after that was what? Praise God, right? Praise God. Because that's who it had to be, right? So after that I said, well, you know, maybe I need to start getting a little bit closer to God. Because he done saved me, he done saved my babies, he done saved my life more times than I could probably imagine. And one thing that I know, even after making it out of that marriage, is, you know, God's word says, touch not my anointing.
Yeah.
I didn't have any clue what that meant. I had no clue. Growing up as a preacher's kid, I had no clue about what being anointed meant. But if this is gonna happen, and I don't even know, imagine what happens if I start actually getting into my word, actually walking with Christ the way that, Jordan, why are you tearing that up? Why are you doing it? Thank you. But I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what it meant to walk with God. But I wanted to learn, because if it's gonna be like this and I'm doing it unknowingly, imagine what it could be like if I actually try. And I did. And things started falling into place for me. This man who had stepped into my life and started taking care of my babies actually decided he wanted to marry me. And I was like, okay. And so we did. Got married, had 2 more babies, living a good life. All of a sudden, wait, what do you mean he has diabetes? What? What is that? How do you get it? Can you get rid of it? What in the world? And so I'm like, Lord, here we are again. Here we are again. I didn't know that my son was so sick. I thought he was eating too much candy. He smelled like fruit all the time. And I'm like, your teeth are gonna fall out of your head. You need to stop. You're drinking too much soda. Why are you drinking all that juice? Where are you hiding it? Well, you know, when you are producing ketones and your blood sugar is through the roof, that's a side effect. You smell like candy. So here I am yelling at him and getting on him about his teeth rotting out of his head, and he's literally dying in front of me, guys. And I had no clue. I had no clue. And the only reason why I figured it out was because someone said, you know, he might have the sugars. And I was like, the what? The sugars. Apparently that's what the old people call diabetes. The sugars. And so, you know, sure enough, he did. And they told me, they said, if you'd have waited 1 more day, he wouldn't have woke up. But it wasn't even me. It was the Holy Spirit that said, take him. Take him. Because I wasn't. We were in Kansas City on vacation. I wasn't. So we've got diabetes, we've got asthma, we've got everything. And you know, every single time something's wrong with one of my children, the Holy Spirit lets me know. Sometimes before it even happens. So one thing that you have to know, you guys, is this. There's no one out there that loves you more than God.
That's right.
Nobody. Despite on what people look like now, despite how I carry myself now, I've been abused physically, sexually, emotionally. And you can come from that. You can grow from that.
That's right.
You can come out of that.
Yes.
There are people that are walking around you every day and you don't even know the stuff that they've been through. I was not always this person. I mean, you got to deal with me now. But I was not always this person. I was a broken person. I've been through depression, dark depression, to where I contemplated on whether or not I'm actually gonna do today. Am I gonna adult today? And sometimes that comes back, but you know what? I know the love of God. I know what it feels like to have God's arms wrapped around me. And that's one thing that I can rest in. And you guys just have to know that there are people out there that just know that no matter what you're going through, there's always somebody. Always. I love you guys. And I'm one of those always people.
You guys can put your hands together for Miss Howard.